Hello, welcome to another Dave's Desk. Today I am with someone really quite special, right? This guy's family have literally changed my life. They changed my life, this family, right? And I'm speaking with their youngest son, Alex Evans. Again, I've known Alex for on and off, probably must be over a dozen years now. And Alex has got a company that he's run for over 10 years called Optimism in Autism. He mentors and speaks on the subject of autism and the spectrum. Alex, welcome.
David, hello. Thank you so much for that introduction.
Mate, you deserve it.
I feel a bit lightheaded. I think
Yeah.
if you tied a balloon around my neck, I'd most likely float away.
So tell us about Optimism and Autism. What is it you do?
Okay, so a bit about myself and what I do. As David said, my name is Alex Evans. I'm an inspirational autism speaker. Company is, of course, Optimism in Autism. My ultimate goal, David, is to help and assist individuals unlock and fulfill their true potential. Now, I'm not an academical intellectual, far from it, although I've studied for 34 years at the University of Life. I'm still there and I'm still learning.
Fantastic.
I make a good use of my sound understanding and knowledge of autism. I call myself an expert by experience.
And how? Yeah.
And I use a lot of practical demonstrations. I've seen many speakers who don't have autism and they do the facts, the figures, the crunching the numbers. And it's fine to have a theoretical understanding of autism. But in order to get the true depiction, if you want to know about autism, then please ask someone with autism. We know best. We go through it daily. So I use a pinch of humor, a dash of personality to educate, motivate, and stimulate my audiences.
You do, mate, and you're very good at it as well. So, and that magic question you just there asked someone, I'm going to ask you at the end, what is it like? Because that's the golden nugget. I'm going to ask you that at the end. To begin with, though, tell us where you mentor and speak and who you speak to.
Okay, I will come to that point. The last point I wanted to give you was when I speak to autistic individuals, I've done across the board, ranging from the ages of 11 all the way up to 35.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want them to take away is I want to give them the mentality of a warrior, not a worrier.
Oh, like it.
Thank you.
Like it.
Places that I've spoke to and professionals I've dealt with, obviously parents and carers, individuals on the autism spectrum, psychologists, mental health practitioners, teachers, social workers, and even 310 members of parliament. I've spoken at some pretty cool and interesting places, actually. The Ministry of Justice, the Houses of Parliament on 2 occasions.
Wow.
And that was to the All Parliamentary Group on Autism. So 310 MPs. I even had a letter from the House of Parliament. So I had the green official stamp, which it's pride of place in my hallway. It was from the Right Honourable Cheryl Gillian. And she actually helped put through the Autism Act into Parliament.
Wow.
Interesting fact, David, she's actually a Tory.
Right. Okay.
So I know they get a bad reputation, but don't judge everyone,
There's good and bad in everyone, brother. Good and bad in everyone.
Yeah, she's a lovely lady. And I met the speaker, John Burko. He gets a bit of a bad rep in the papers, but he's actually a nice bloke. And he has a son with autism. Not many people know that.
And I know that as well as speaking, and I mean, I've seen you speak a couple of times, and you truly are outstanding. But you also go out of your way to mentor young people who have been through what you've been through. Tell me about that.
I think with me being diagnosed at such a very tender age, it was 1 week prior to my 13th birthday, so going through adolescence, puberty, that's a massive physical change. And then to have such a emotional change and be given a diagnosis, and we're going back to 97, 98, so there was people just to think that if you have autism, you're like Rain Man. You're all great at maths.
Yeah.
I was in maths with my entire life. You're all great at computers. You know about my struggles setting up this Zoom meeting. That's taken me
you were
a good hour.
You were
a good hour to set up. So yeah, I think having that that tug of war within my own mind. And because I focused on things that I couldn't do, I was fixated on that. I can't do this. I struggle with this, rather than things that I could do well. We've all got a whole variety of talents and gifts and special talents to showcase to the world. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't going to have a life. And it's those choices that we make that will
True.
dictate how things pan out for you.
So
Because always
true.
remember, the smallest positive will always outweigh the biggest negative.
And Alex, I mean, I won't ask you to go into detail simply because we haven't got time to even scratch the surface of your full story, mate. But suffice to say that you went through the mill when you were younger, both in education and sort of growing up as a young adult in society. You know, you had your brushes and your scrapes and your frustrations and your anxieties. But more than anyone I've ever met at your level on the spectrum, you have somehow managed to, the majority of the time, because you're always honest enough to say I still have, you know, really bad hair
Yeah,
days and whatever. And I can't talk about bad hair. Look,
neither can I.
look, this is lockdown hair, mate. I tell you what, I'm going to give my hairdresser such a hug when I see him. But you've managed to, in some ways, put a, I won't say even put a cap on it, but you've managed to control and manage it better than most people I know. And you've used that energy, turned it on its head to serve other people. I mean, some of the work you do in schools is amazing. Tell me about that.
I mean, with the stuff I do in school, I think that's where it must start. You know, I can speak to all these different people across the board from different professional backgrounds, but it must always start in schools, David, without question. We need to give our young people the fundamental life skills. So, in order when they do face that big world, they are ready and prepared for it. Like I said, David, I do a lot of practical demonstrations. So, particularly with teachers, in order to give a true reflection of autism, I fish out one of my old school reports. And it was actually when I was 13. So I was actually just diagnosed with autism. And my mum said I had a very Jekyll and Hyde kind of persona. You know, some of my reports were glowing, fantastic, apple of my eye, wonderful. It's a pleasure to teach. Others, yeah, it's disruptive, bad behaviour, doesn't engage. And the reports, it's like the North and the South Pole, they can't be further apart. But I've always said this to teachers: does it not depend on how we are treated as individuals as to which side of us you will get to see? You know, don't have any preconceived ideas with autism. You know, just take them and throw them kick them into the long grass. Yeah, judge us on our merits, not on a so-called label.
So here's a challenging thing, and I don't know if you can do it or be willing to do it. At the beginning of the call, you said, you know, if you want to know what it's like, ask somebody. So, you know, here's just Dave asking Alice. Alice? Who's Alice? No, sorry, Alex. Here's Dave. Just asking Alex a simple question. Help me understand, what is it like being on the spectrum?
What is it like? Blimey. What is it like being a neurotypical? What is it like being a non-autistic? I would say it varies. Even with you, David. I mean, you've got your story with George. Every day is different.
Yeah.
There are days when things just can't go wrong. It's amazing. It's wonderful, and it feels like you can just walk on water, and everything you touch turns to gold. Other days, dark clouds, thunderstorms. It all just depends on age as well. I think when you're younger, you are, you know, you want to be a sheep, don't you? You want to be a sheep. You want to just follow the it crowd. You don't want to be an independent rhino, head down and charge with up. You just want to blend in with the crowd. And I think it's harder being on the spectrum as a teenager. You just want to be like everyone else. You don't want to have an autism diagnosis or an ADHD diagnosis, anything that's going to
Right.
make you stand up like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But I think as you get older, you learn from your mistakes. And mistakes is fine. And what I try and say to my young guys, excuse me, my young guys at school, is ask for help. That is one of the biggest strengths you have in your kit bag or at your disposal. That is not a weakness. To say, do you know what? You know, hands up, I'm struggling a little bit. I'm finding life a little bit challenging, a little bit hard. Help me. The weakness is doing what I did for Jesus, many, many years, well over 15 years, is, I'm struggling, but I will just carry on down that path of self-destruction and hoping beyond hope that things will just magically become better. The grass is not always greener on the other side. Change in here, and people will see the change outwardly.
Bravo, mate. Bravo. Now, this is a sensitive one. At the time of filming this, I've got a friend whose brother, and we'll just call that person M, is following a similar path to yourself. He's on spectrum. He's struggled. Apparently, an absolutely fantastic young person. Got into a few scrapes, and he's really suffering with that sort of tension, frustration that goes with it all. So, so what's the one thing that you would say to them that worked for you that might help them?
I think for me, I mean, I did 4 years in mental hospitals, and that in itself is kind of like a prison. You have set meals. There are people that might potentially do you harm. But even then, that still taught me a lot about life. I met a lot of interesting people. So even within the prison setting, you will meet some nice people, and they will try and help guide and nurture him. He's only young, like you said, he's only a teenager. I myself was literally a cat's whisker away from going in prison myself. What would really help, and it helped me, was actually having a clinical psychologist, someone that understood the condition, judged me on my merits and not on a label. Got to know the real Alex. I was very angry, very frustrated. I told him to F off a few times, threw chairs at him. It was just my frustration. And I'd never been treated in such a nice way before. I had people looking at their watch thinking I'm wasting their time. He sat down and said, Alex, tell me about your passion. What's your interest? He didn't go on about, right, oh, tell me about all the bad stuff. Why should I tell you about the bad stuff in my life? I don't even know you. Oh, tell me what you like, mate. So we spent literally the whole hour talking about hockey, football. I'm a West Brom fan. He was a Villa supporter. So, we had a bit of banter there. And I walked away thinking, what happened? And then my mind started, I thought, what? I'm going to see him again. And as the weeks progressed, I started making cups of tea just out of absolute respect for him. And I was literally found myself after about a few months of actually waiting for the day to see him. I saw him once a week, only for an hour, but you wouldn't get that kind of support on the NHS. That is an area as well that needs to be looked into. So a psychologist really helps, but it has to be a psychologist who is trained, has a very, very fantastic understanding of autism.
And what I love about what you've said there, Alex, is it reinforces everything else you've said throughout this interview. It's about asking for help, change yourself on the inside, do something different if you want a different. Brilliant. So Alex's top tip is make sure you get the right quality of help, but ask for help.
That's right. People can't help you unless they know there's a problem. People aren't mind readers, but for that gentleman, M, as you called him, if I would give him a personal message for an autistic to a fellow autistic, would be, don't give up. Don't give up. Things will improve. If I can make it, and I'm speaking as a bloke that was homeless, I was of no fixed abode for 7 years. I now have a house. I have 2 children and a pussycat as well. But I would just say,
what's the cat's name?
It was called Missy. We thought it was a girl. It was actually a boy in the end. So we actually called him Moo in the end. We called him Moo Moo. And just with that chap, that yep, please don't give up, young man. Always ask for help. And what I would say, there is only one person in the entire universe that will stop and prevent you from succeeding and achieving in life. You, young man, go stand in front of the mirror, and that answer will become very clear.
God bless you, Alex. You've been absolute legend. Your time so valuable, much appreciated. How's the best way for people to get hold of you if they want to book you, either for chat to you about mentoring or indeed speaking?
Okay, I would just say please go on to email, all lowercase. It's alexevans2209@outlook.com. Could I just finish, because I know we've been speaking for a long time. You wanted some great tips.
Yeah. Give us the best one you got.
I've got two.
Two.
Really quick. Okay,
You're
sorry.
a giver. You're a giver.
The only time you should look down on somebody is if you're admiring their footwear. Because it is great to be known for your shoes, but it's even better to be known for your soul. And if they can't learn in the way we teach, then perhaps we should teach them in the way that they learn best.
I love that. Great stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Evans, and we'll see you all soon on another Dave's Desk. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Then click the TV to watch the next video. Oh, and don't forget to visit our website at davidhyner.com to claim your free audiobook. Until the next time, go Rhino. Having it.